This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, I'm Talia.
And I'm Tanya.
And together we are Crimes and Consequences, a true crime podcast. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Talia.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got another exciting story to share on Crimes and Consequences.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe/follow button. Just like we always ask, it helps. And that being said, I'm ready to start this.
All right, I'm ready to hear this.
All right. Our story takes place in a very quiet town of Bel Air, Ohio, just before Halloween in 1995. Now, Bel Air is actually a small village in Belmont County, Ohio, which is occupied with a little more than 4,000 residents.
Oh, it is small.
It is small. It's a beautiful village, though, and it's known for its Imperial Glass Museum, located on the Ohio River.
All right.
While the town was small, it was equipped with a startling number of churches. There were 19, to
What?
be exact.
For 4,000 people?
19.
Wow, that is a lot of churches.
Right? Aside from that, and the 3 local newspapers, which seems like a lot of local newspapers. The town only had 1 elementary school, 1 junior high school, and 1 high school. And that's exactly the kind of town I grew up in. 4,000 people with, we had 2, couple elementary schools.
All those churches too?
No.
That's a lot of churches.
The residents of this small town all felt like they lived in a pretty secure, safe place, right? All the neighbors were friendly. They all talked to one another, and they got along extremely well. And this tiny town, it didn't see a lot of crime. So let me tell you about our villain. I'm going to give you a little background. His name is Nathan Brooks. And just to be clear, there's another story about a guy named Nathan Brooks, but his name is Nathon, and our villain is Nathan. So don't be confused.
Yeah, when you go to Google it. Don't tell us we're wrong.
Nathan Brooks was born in 1978, but when the story takes place, his father is 53 years old, and his name is Terry Brooks, and his mom is 52-year-old Marilyn Brooks. Now, Nathan had an older brother named Jamie, and at the time of this incident, he already moved out. And at the time of the story, Nathan is 17. He had a younger brother named Ryan. Now, from the outside looking in, they seem like the all-perfect, all-American family. Terry worked as a postal worker, while Marilyn was a pension clerk. And the 3 boys did fairly well at school. The Brooks family lived on a street where neighbors were far enough away that they were able to enjoy a good amount of privacy, but close enough to be able to see some of the less flattering behavior that took place in the Brooks home. Like I'm saying, they could hear the screaming.
Screaming at your kids.
You screaming loud enough, they could still hear it. There were countless rumors around town that Terry had anger issues and a drinking problem. Apparently, when he would drink, he would transform from a pretty nice man into a very nasty and abusive monster.
Oh, man.
Which, as we all know, happens a lot with alcoholics. Later on, Marilyn's sister, her name was Marlise, she would speak up and say that Terry was an alcoholic and that Marlise had moved away about 10 years prior to this moment I haven't gotten to, the incident. And that her relationship with Marilyn had suffered long before she left because Terry wasn't very fond of her. And if Terry didn't like you, he controlled Marilyn. So Marilyn couldn't talk to you. In fact, he was so possessive and controlling and abusive that she didn't talk to any friends or family. She was very isolated. And it's really sad because she used to be very close to her family. When Terry drank, he didn't just abuse Marilyn. He was also abusive to their children. Now, it was noted that Marilyn doted on Nathan, but Terry favored his youngest son, Ryan, and it was really obvious. Needless to say, most of his anger when he was drinking was directed at Nathan. Terry would call him names and try to toughen him up and make a man out of him. I don't know exactly what that means. If Nathan ever cried even just a little bit, Terry would get really, really mad at him. When Nathan was about 3 years old, Nathan could be found playing and having fun one minute, and the next he would just stare off into the distance with some disturbing or like evil look over his face.
Even as a little boy?
Yeah, as a little boy. Marlise even talked about how Terry would push her around sometimes. She said that when she moved away, she remembered Jamie. Now, Jamie was the oldest son, being a small, fearful child. But Marilyn didn't do much to help his behavior because she didn't want anybody to know what was happening behind closed doors. And she was convinced that Terry could change and become a better man. Marlise later recalled, as I said, Nathan got the worst of it, that he was once a very sweet, gentle, happy little boy. Even teachers would later state that they were aware of how hard Terry was on the boys academically. They were expected to bring home perfect grades. Neighbors said that Nathan seemed like mostly a normal child who was a little quiet and shy, but overall he was friendly and well-mannered, and they were utterly shocked to find out what Nathan did, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute.
What did Nathan do?
Growing up, he spent a good amount of time in his childhood in the church. At one point, he served as an altar boy and even considered going into priesthood himself. He had a profound interest in not just Christianity, but other religions as well. He was an avid reader, and he read up on the Bible, the Quran, and all these different religious texts. At one point during his childhood, 2 of his friends passed away in the same year. One committed suicide.
Oh, no.
And the other had a brain tumor.
Oh, man.
I know.
That's terrible.
While attending the funerals, it was at these times that Nathan first realized that he was different from other people. While others were wrapped up in grief and mourning the losses, Nathan couldn't help but think about what would happen to the body parts. He didn't have any strong emotions towards the death of his friends like a normal kid. He was more concerned about their decomposing bodies.
Oh, no. Really?
Isn't that strange?
That's a little weird.
That's very weird. After this, his interest became even darker. He started to listen to really dark music, and he started getting involved into the occult.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. He had an extensive book collection, including the Egyptian spell book, the Book of the Dead, books on Jeffrey Dahmer and Jack the Ripper, and Whoever Fights Monsters, which I have that.
If somebody went through your bookshelf,
they'd
be like, Talia's fucking weird.
Don't use this against me. And that, of course, the book Whoever Fights Monsters, I've talked about before, is the FBI profiler's interviews during formation of the Behavioral Analysis Unit. He also had Anton Levy's books, The Satanic Bible, Satanic Rituals, The Satanic Witch, The Devil's Notebook, and Satan Speaks, with an exclamation.
Satan Speaks, exclamation point.
He was also known to dabble here and there in hallucinogenic drugs, and he began visiting abandoned houses where he would perform satanic rituals.
Oh, great.
He would cover the walls with satanic symbols and attempt to communicate with Satan. This ended one day when the owner of the house was made aware of what was going on and chased him off the property. As a result, Nathan ended up facing charges of trespassing and vandalism, and he already had a record for petty crimes. From there, believe it or not, Nathan's dark interests only grew.
Oh, really? There's more darkness?
Yeah. And I'm not sure if he went to Ohio State University or if he worked there. But either way, Nathan ended up going for the summer to stay with Jamie and his wife at their house. During that time, he got a job working at a nursing home, and he would often seek out patients who were dying because he was interested in observing the process.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's a little bit creepy.
Jamie found bones that Nathan had collected, and Jamie suspected Nathan of mutilating local cats. and he would cut off pieces of their ears or tails.
Really?
And at one point, Jamie's wife found a lamb skull in Nathan's room, in the room he was occupying, along with books about the occult. Now, that would really mess me up.
Yeah.
Apparently, Nathan had stolen the skull from the agricultural department of the university and kept it as a souvenir. Now, Jamie expressed his concerns to his brother about this weird behavior.
Yeah, this is a little weird, Nathan.
And Nathan just said, it's just a phase I'm going through. During his stay in Columbus, Nathan made some friends with 2 self-proclaimed Wiccan witches who not only accepted him as he was, but also encouraged his hobbies. They both agreed with Nathan that he was evil, because Nathan said he was evil. And they would listen to him describe his dark thoughts.
His friends?
Yeah.
That's just weird.
One day when he was working at the nursing home, Nathan suddenly decided it was time to act up on his pent-up urges and try to kill somebody.
Uh-oh.
He picked out this random man walking past the building, and he was getting ready to attack the stranger with a knife. But just before he did, a car drove past, so he refrained. And he didn't end up killing anybody. When summer was over, he started his junior year back at Bel Air High School in Belmont County. And he began drawing satanic symbols on his schoolwork and writing phrases such as, God is dead, Satan is good.
Oh, man.
Sometimes he was even known to sign his school papers, Nathan Brooks, Master of Death.
Stop it.
Yeah, I know.
Stop it.
I know. He got referred to the school counselor.
Oh, yeah.
Her name was Amy Farmer because of this disturbing stuff.
Yeah, imagine you're his teacher. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I know. She said that he was usually really nice, but she did recall one memory that was really disturbing. She remembered one time she was in a classroom with Nathan and a few other students when he threatened to cut her head off.
What?
And dump her body on the side of the road.
Damn.
Yeah. She also recalled numerous private sessions with him where he admitted to smoking weed. He made his own homemade LSD.
How do you make LSD?
I don't know. I don't know how you make it from your house.
No.
And he was huffing up to 2 cans of butane a day.
Wow.
Yeah, he said the butane helped to free him of his obsessive thoughts. Now, of course, the school counselor reached out to Marilyn, but Marilyn pretty much blew off the whole situation, saying this is just a phase he's going through.
I don't know. I mean,
I feel like he would need some counseling.
Your kid wants to get their nose pierced or they dye their hair a different color. That's a phase. I mean,
this is a little more extreme, right?
Yeah, this is extreme.
And I don't know if I mentioned that this case is really gruesome.
Oh, great.
If I didn't, I should have. In the last week of September in 1995, Nathan had been acting really strange towards his classmates. Whenever they would say hello or try to talk to him in the hallways, he didn't respond at all. It was as if they weren't there. Now, Nathan had a former babysitter. Her name was Carol. And she recalled that as Nathan grew older, she saw him go from being this happy-go-lucky kid to one that was quite sullen and withdrawn, and she thought it was due to his father Terry's abuse. In late September, Nathan showed up at Carol's front door saying that he wanted to tell her that he loved her. She said he was very thin and he was fidgety. And when she asked him what was wrong, he just told her not to worry about it. Now, Carol's like, this is strange. So she calls Marilyn up and tells Marilyn, hey, he stopped by. He wasn't looking well. He's fidgety. But Marilyn didn't seem the least bit concerned. Just a few days later, on September 30th of 95, 17-year-old Nathan started bragging to his classmates, saying, come Saturday, I'm going to be famous. Of course, no one really took him seriously.
Yeah.
One of the other students made this joke and said, if you're going to live up to what you're boasting about, then you need to pull off another Wycliffe. And this is a really tasteless reference to a shooting that took place at a junior high school in Wycliffe. I think that's how you pronounce it, in Ohio, less than a year earlier.
Oh, geez.
In which one person was killed and 5 were injured. But Nathan wasn't planning a massive school shooting. He was planning a massacre much different. But before I tell you more, we're going to take a quick break. It has been said, and I can't verify this, that Nathan had a list of names. There were 16 that he'd written down on a piece of paper, which some believe were targets for sacrificial murder. Supposedly, the first 3 that were listed were his parents and then his brother Ryan. Ryan was 15 at the time, and on the day we're talking about, he attended a school football game earlier that evening with his friend named Eric Beretti. After the game, he went back to Eric's house, where he hung out until it was after midnight. And this would be his saving grace, because Ryan didn't return home. Had he returned home, it could have been much, much uglier. That night, Nathan waited for his parents to fall asleep. And once they did, he snuck into their bedroom. He shot Terry in the head 3 times at close range with a hunting rifle.
Oh, damn.
And then he hit Marilyn in the back of the head with an axe.
What?
Yeah. And then he proceeded to hack and stab her in the stomach 10 times with a knife and an axe.
Oh, jeez.
But he wasn't done.
He wasn't?
No, he went into the garage and he got a hacksaw.
Oh, God.
And he used the hacksaw to decapitate his father.
Wow.
Then Nathan took Terry's head and he placed it inside a punch bowl.
What?
Which he had arranged on a chair in the living room.
Oh, my God. This is fucked up.
Yeah, it's really fucked up. Nathan, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, he confessed, and in his confession, which was somewhat inconsistent with the facts, Nathan would later state, quote, "I went into my mom's room and I murdered her. It wasn't like my mom, like the woman I loved. It was like skin, like an animal, like a dog. Then I murdered my dad, and I took a walk at one point during the murders," end quote. But as I already told you, that's not how it all went down. When he was asked about placing his father's head in a punch bowl, Nathan said that he needed it for a ritual to increase his power. He said, quote, "I cut off my dad's head, and then I put it in a bowl with a mask on it, with holes to symbolize the gunshot holes in my dad's head. Then I performed a black mass. I was deciding something, if I should kill more people, but I decided not to," end quote.
What the hell?
Then he went on to talk about his relationship with Satan and his love for Satan. He said, quote, "It's just like you talk to the Lord, and sometimes he answers back," end quote. After he killed his parents, he then sat down to wait for his brother to get home. But his brother, Ryan, he didn't turn up. It was about 1:30 a.m. when Ryan called home to ask his parents if he could spend the night at Eric's house, which, I mean, it's pretty late.
Yeah, like, right?
But instead of his mom or dad answering the phone because they were dead, Nathan picked it up. Nathan told him, you better come home. You're going to get in trouble if you want to stay at Eric's house. You should just come home because Dad's already mad at you for being out way past your curfew. Nathan then told him that if he came home, it'd probably help to avoid getting into any more deeper trouble. At least you came home instead of not coming home. Ryan said, I might just sleep over anyway and deal with the consequences in the morning. And then he hung up.
Damn, that saved his life.
After hanging around Eric's for about another hour or so, Ryan decided, maybe I should come home. At least I'll be home when my parents wake up. And he asked Eric for a ride home. So Eric must have been like 16. He didn't have any idea what was waiting for him at his house. And while he was driving home with Eric, Nathan was tired of waiting for his brother to show up, and he decided to go get his brother from Eric's house.
Oh, shit.
He would later say, quote, "I didn't want him to see what I did. I wanted him to be with my mom and dad. I was going to kill him like my mom and dad," end quote. Now, luckily for Ryan, the brothers ended up, unbeknownst to them, passing each other en route, because when Nathan arrived at Eric's house, Ryan was already gone. And Eric's mother was less than happy to be woke up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, no shit, right?
She answers the door and she sees Nathan and his demeanor, and it's very uneasy. He's disheveled, he's sweating, he's breathing really loud, and he seems slightly manic. She told him, listen, Ryan isn't there. They already left to go back to your house. Eric's dropping him off, and then she shut the door in his face. Meanwhile, Ryan gets dropped off to his house.
Oh, Ryan.
Poor Ryan.
Poor Ryan.
The first thing he noticed was that all the lights were on, which he found odd since he knew his dad worked early the next morning, but they're supposed to be sleeping.
Yeah, it's like 2:30 in the morning or something.
Right. As soon as he walked inside, Ryan was, so bad, unpleasantly greeted by a very horrific scene. Walking through the kitchen, he saw the walls and the floors splattered with just blood. There was just blood everywhere. And then he walked into the living room where he was met with a horrific sight of his father's decapitated head, grotesquely displayed in a punch bowl.
I can't even imagine.
No. While most kids would probably freak out and run away, Ryan stayed and began searching the house. He found his father's decapitated corpse lying in the master bedroom. His dad, Terry's arms were raised above his torso, almost as if in an act of surrender. His mother was on the adjacent twin bed, partially covered by a blood-soaked comforter, and the handle of a long-bladed knife was protruding from her right side. There were deep gashes to her head and face. Remember,
yeah,
there was that axe. And the bloody axe was laying at the foot of the bed. Additionally, there was a hammer and nails resting at the foot of his parents' bed, as Nathan had been planning to crucify his mother.
What?
Yeah, it's so bad.
Oh my God.
Turning away from this gruesome scene, Ryan grabbed the phone and he called Eric frantically, leaving messages on his answering machine and alerting him that someone had murdered his family. So Eric gets home and he hears the messages, and he immediately woke up his own father for help. At first, he thought that these calls might have been some kind of joke or prank, but then, of course, they learned later that it wasn't the case. Eric and his father headed back to Ryan and Nathan's house.
Damn.
Where they waited with him after calling 911. One report claims that Eric and his dad tried to call his mom to alert her of what was going on and to leave the home immediately because no one knew where Nathan was.
Right.
As soon as she left the house, there were reports that Nathan entered that home.
Oh, shit.
And ended up leaving later wearing Eric's clothing.
Okay, that's weird.
At first, the police were concerned for Nathan's safety. They didn't know for sure what was going on. And they were worried that maybe he had been killed. However, after searching his room, the police quickly changed their thoughts on Nathan being a victim to him being a suspect. They were shocked at what they found. In his room, he had a satanic altar set up, satanic symbols strewn across his bedroom walls, and much more. An altar? Are his parents okay with that?
They didn't see it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Almost immediately, the police sent out an alert for Nathan. They were afraid that he had fled and that it might take them a really long time to locate him. But to their surprise, it didn't take long at all. Instead, at 3:30 a.m., police found Nathan sitting in his mother's car, parked among gravestones at the local cemetery. His hands were completely covered in dried blood of his parents.
Oh.
And I'm wondering if Eric's mom didn't notice, like, his hands were covered with blood.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, did he change his clothes?
He's covered in blood. When he was found, he didn't resist arrest. As police began their investigation, they found that the townspeople were shocked to hear what Nathan had done, but obviously they didn't know all the things that we know.
Right.
After all, this is a very small town, and they all knew his whole family. This is like the last thing anyone would expect to happen.
Holy shit, no kidding.
Right?
Even if I lived in like New York City, where there's millions of people,
right.
I still would be shocked.
Yeah. However, brothers Ryan and Jamie weren't as shocked. They didn't know that Nathan was capable of killing their own parents, but Ryan admitted he was really fully aware of Nathan's drug and alcohol. I guess he abused alcohol too. and his obsession with the occult. Evidently, Nathan had once told Ryan, quote, "Satan is my best friend." Not to mention Ryan himself had seen the occult symbols painted in Nathan's room on his walls, which means, of course, their parents had to have seen them too.
Yeah,
right? Like we were talking about.
Yeah. It's just a phase. I mean, Marilyn probably was like, it's just a phase.
Well,
I mean, nobody wants to think their kids is fucking weird.
Ryan also confessed that he thought Nathan could have possibly been hurting neighborhood animals, but he couldn't prove it, so he never really spoke up about it. That's what he said. One main piece of evidence at the crime scene was a journal, which was filled with a countless variety of satanic sketches, along with that list I previously mentioned, which suggested that Nathan had planned to slaughter at least 16 different people. At the top of the list, it read, quote, "Satan will show you peace," end quote. Below these words was a list of people he planned to murder, which his parents and Ryan, I told you, held the 3 top spots. Some of the names listed had words written next to them, and this is what they said. It said, Ryan, dismember and decapitate.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. Mother, eviscerate, disembowel or remove an organ from and crucify. Father, decapitate.
Damn.
The list went on and named people without their last names, which some were identified as family members, and one was actually a local priest.
Wow.
Other descriptions listed next to the name said things like molest, skin.
Skin?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is just gruesome.
I know, it's so bad. Of course, this list, along with the fact that Nathan was a practicing Satanist, was conveniently leaked to the public, which forced a judge to place a gag order on the entire investigation. The town was simply beside themselves, beyond afraid that their own family members might have been on this hit list. They were even afraid, even though he was in custody, that he might have maybe some partners in crime.
Oh, yeah.
That could and would be willing to carry out his bidding when he was behind bars. This small, safe town no longer felt safe to anyone. It didn't help matters that bomb threats began being called into the school during a school football game and during one of the school board meetings, and this happened time and time again. It was probably
chaos.
Now, the abandoned house that Nathan used to frequent and conduct satanic rituals, that was burned down. The fire department had been called, but by the time they arrived, the entire structure had been burned down. Then on 2 separate occasions, both the front and back porch of the Brooks home was set on fire.
Oh, man.
Not the house itself, just the porches. After the neighbors were interviewed, they found that a few of them saw 3 hooded figures breaking into the house. However, the police later said that this was just false and that there weren't any hooded figures, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
One of the immediate consequences of the Brooks murders was the cancellation of Halloween.
They canceled Halloween?
Yeah, they banned all trick-or-treating.
Oh, man.
The last thing they wanted was hordes of kids wandering in the dark streets with all this going on. It was decided instead to host an alternative event at a local, what's called green space, which they called Boo at the Park. It was something like trunk-or-treating.
Yeah.
And apparently this tradition still exists today thanks to Nathan Brooks ruining Halloween. Nathan is safely locked away now. He's serving a life sentence that will keep him behind bars until at least 2038. A jury of 6 men and 6 women unanimously found him guilty, and they rejected his insanity defense. Did you know in the U.S., 5 parents on average are killed by their children every week?
Really?
That's according to Professor Kathleen Hyde of the University of South Florida.
5 parents are killed every week.
By their kids.
Damn.
And that is the story of Nathan Brooks.
That was crazy.
It's so
and so horrible.
Shocking.
Yes.
His dad in a punch bowl.
What the fuck?
He's going to crucify his mom and decapitate his brother.
Right. And why?
Satan.
Yeah, Satan. Come on. This is just sad. It's just sad, and it's horrible, and it's gross, and
it's really sad.
Yeah, it's extremely sad. His poor parents. Even though his dad was a bit abusive alcoholic, I mean, nobody deserves that.
Yeah, that's a whole
Jeez.
new level.
Yeah, and his mom.
Desecration to her body.
God.
Axe.
Yeah, an axe. I'm so glad Ryan didn't go home.
I'm sure he's pretty scarred.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably
hell,
suffers from
see.
survivor's guilt too.
Yeah, seeing your
mean,
dad's head in a
I
punch bowl with a
know.
mask on it. I don't know.
What the fuck?
I want to thank Tara
Thank you, Tara.
for researching and writing this story because I had never heard it.
Me either.
And damn.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
95. Wow. Yeah, thank you, Tara.
And if you guys haven't done so already, hit the subscribe or follow button on whatever app you're listening to. And thanks for listening to this one. I should have warned everybody in the very beginning. It was so gruesome.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
It's really gruesome, but they probably know by now.
Yeah. You can expect it from us.
If you like this story and you want to get it early and ad-free, you can go to patreon.com/TNT Crimes. And we have, every week we release episodes not released to the public. So you get even more episodes. And we want to give a shout out to all of our Patreon members and also our Apple subscribers who get the same thing if you just go to our Apple podcast and subscribe. Do you want to have the pleasure, Tanya?
Yes, these are all of our newest subscribers.
Okay.
So we would like to thank Jeanette L., Natalia S., Catherine M., Teresa N., Debbie, Jason J., Katie U., Amaya C., Liz Nora, Carrie C., Jen B., Natalie M., Dawn H., Topaz R., I think her name's Ruta.
Okay.
She's from Lithuania. It's our first Lithuanian subscriber.
Welcome.
Casey B., Rihanna, Corey B., Tabitha W., Mandy C., Jess. There's one that just said E.
Okay.
Stephanie, Cami H., Dan D., Mary H., Natalia D., Creighton M., Alyssa B., Lane P., Tanya J., Maria C., Tasha P., Trisha S., Michelle N., Alexander B., Megan D., Anna, Laura F., Jennifer W., Carly V., and Lottie R.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. And we have a few Apple subscribers.
Okay.
There's Amanda, there's Beatrice and her boyfriend JR, or Junior, and Saul. So we would like to thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And you guys can visit us on our website, crimesandconsequences.com, to see photos that have to do with this story. And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Hardcore True Crime.
I think that's everything.
I think so.
So until our next episode.
Don't kill each other.
Bye.
Bye.